Transportation Center funded by the US DOT. We have partnerships with San Diego State University, University of California, Berkeley, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Today's webinar is Educating Drivers, Protecting Pedestrians, a piece of the transportation safety puzzle. It is presented by Anna Lukács. We will have a Q&A at the end during the last few minutes, so use that Q&A button at the bottom to submit your questions. You can submit it at any time during the webinar. We may not have time to get to every question, but we will see how far we can get. And with that, I will hand it over to Anna. Thanks for attending.
Thank you for the introduction, Ben. Hi, everyone. Anna Lukács here. I am a public health professional, but also I'm currently a student going back to school at University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, studying for a PhD in civil engineering, more specifically in transportation, with a focus on pedestrian and bicyclist safety under Dr. Nick Ferenczak. But here today, I'm here to present you about a project that I've been working on for a couple of years, and it's been ready for a couple of years. So I'm just happy to introduce it to all of you. And I'll talk about myself throughout because I developed this course, so it's really coming from a personal perspective and from an event that happened to me. So I will start sharing my screen. Okay. There you go. So just a couple of things of what I'm going to talk about today, how this course started with my story, then a layout of the course, all the modules that are in the course. Then I'm going to play for you a video from the driving behavior module. It's going to be like a 5-minute video, which will give me a chance to take a break from all the talking. And a spoiler alert, we're going to have an interactive question for you right after the video. So it will be one of those QR code questions or a link where you can answer. So you can be ready for that. And then if we have time, we're going to play the accident versus crash module. If not, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it. Then who is this course for? Is it for professionals in transportation? Is it for older adults? Is it for youth? Is it for anyone? So you're going to find out. I'm sure you're going to find out by then anyway. And then I'm going to give you a link if you want to take the full course and how you can contact me. So how did this all start? I need to start from the beginning and where I'm from. I was born in a small town in Romania, northeast. It's called Roman. Typical East European town built vertically with lots of apartment buildings and plazas for pedestrians and other users. Pigeons everywhere, not just in Albuquerque. And one important fact about that is that my family and I was the only child, but I grew up with my parents and my grandmother. We never owned a car. It's not because we didn't need one, because sometimes we did need one, but we just throughout the city we were able to move on foot. I think to cross the town on foot, it maybe took us an hour. So it wasn't that long, again, because there's a lot being built vertically. This is the house where I grew up on. And the school is my elementary school was right behind the house. Like it was a block away, so I had to go around, but it was not that far. And then to go to high school, I had to walk a little more, but it was more like 15 minutes walking. So that wasn't a problem. So we didn't need a car. Plus, I had my father who was working for the railway, so we had a lot of um, passes and discounts to travel by train if we needed to go to other big cities. And occasionally, when we needed a vehicle, we partner with friends and family that had one, and we traveled together, went places together, and so forth. And yeah, this is again my hometown that I grew up, a very cute town and clean. Um, and eventually I moved after college. I moved to United States in Colorado, where I'm talking to you today from. Um, and of course, I jumped into the American dream of having a vehicle. And immediately I purchased a vehicle to get around. I was told that people that were walking um, by themselves didn't have a car, and there were just very few that I would see out walking, or, maybe they were like homeless or in distress. So, I thought, okay, I'm lucky that I have a car. But soon after that, a couple of years later, I ended up working in downtown Denver, and I was not using my personal vehicle. I started using transit, and I was um, taking the regional bus to Denver, and then I was one of those corporate professionals, that were walking in their dress, business professional dress and sneakers, and then put your heels as once you got to the office. So I was really proud of that part of the American dream as well. Um, until one day, it was January 2015, so 10 years ago, at this very intersection, if you're familiar with Denver, this is 17th and Broadway. It's a five-way intersection with lots of one-way streets. I was headed towards the bus that day. It was middle of the day, and one thing happened as I was crossing the street here. There were two cars that were turning left as well. And as you can see here, there are two lanes to turn left if you want to. As I was crossing the street here, the car that was first here at the stoplight, and the lights were different. They were green for all of us. I had my walk sign on as well. The first car stopped for me because, as we all know, um, drivers should yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. However, the vehicle and the driver in the vehicle behind the first one did not see me as the first car was blocking, and decided to go in the outer lane that was allowed to turn left. And by the time he got to the crosswalk, I was in his lane, and it knocked me down. So that's how my story and my career shifted 10 years ago. I was hit by a pickup truck in the crosswalk, and I am a survivor. Of course, as you can see me today, I was lucky to survive, and yeah, it knocked me down. And one of the things that saved me from a lot more serious injuries was that I was carrying my laptop on my shoulder, and the laptop was covering my right hip, right where the pickup truck hit me. So it absorbed a lot of the shock, and it got the screen shattered. So I think, everyone has been saying, all the doctors, that I was lucky that I wasn't more severely injured. Also, it knocked me down, and I fell on my left side, and then all the injuries that I had to work on. They were on my left side as I fell. And from that moment on, I started working on my health, how to get better, and one of the doctors, medical professionals that I saw for my continuous pain, because I couldn't figure out, nothing else was broken, but I was still in pain and unable to sit sometimes, and in pain when I was sitting upright. One medical professional suggested that um, I do more walking. And I thought that was ironic. Like, walking is what got me here in the first place. But here we are. Walking was my means of getting back into healthier shape. So I started walking. Oh, and I had this slide here of who said this: with great power comes great responsibility. And that goes back to the vehicle that hit me, because it was a pickup truck. So it's, it has more power. It hits a person in a different spot on the body. Like a sedan might hit my knees and my legs, but a pickup truck hit my hips. So you've seen from other webinars with CPBS, how bigger cars impact people. And probably when, they were turning. So I assume, we don't know the exact speed they were driving while they were turning. So maybe between 25 and 30. So, my chances of survivor were, 50-50. So I was one of those lucky 50%. So yeah, I started doing more walking. And then while I was walking, I discovered that I wanted to share with people the benefits of walking. I was a public health professional. I was just finishing my master's of public health. And how do I get more people out here, and how do I make them come out and join me? And so I started looking for, organizations that would be focused on walking. But then I was like, I am getting them out, but I still see, narrow sidewalks, fast vehicles, and I don't want what happened to me to happen to others, especially when I'm taking them out. But so I started looking, and I started looking at numbers. Um, like the pedestrian fatalities and how they've increased in the last couple of years. And then that fall in 2015, the Surgeon General at the time came out with a call to action for, people to go out and walk more, for the health benefits, but also for professionals to come together and build environments, build trails and sidewalks, connect neighborhoods that facilitate that act. So I started looking around, and I found the Walk to Connect co-op and began leading walks in my community with them. But also I started dipping my toes in walk audits, which I didn't know what they were back then. And then I was a fellow with America Walks in their Walking College program. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend it for those that want to get more familiar with walkability, and how you can become an advocate in your community, or even, within your organization, to get some skills. There are a lot of professionals taking that program as well. So that's how I started. And then I got, kept being invited to speak about my story, to motivate others and to inspire others in terms of walking and walkability. So that's how this pedestrian-oriented motorist course started. I was just giving talks, and then it was a continuance of the Walking College program, because there you have to come up with a walking action plan. Um, And it was just a campaign to promote walking and walkability to motorists, to drivers. So I thought like, that would be an interesting way to get the word out more. Put everything in a course that is available at any time. Um, and people can take it. Of course, last year I started my PhD journey, so I pulled the trigger and put it all online and filmed all the modules, so they're out there because I didn't have time to go and do to do a lot of public speaking and present all the information I had. Um, and Another thing about the oriented driver course is that it combines storytelling with research. So all the information that is presented has a place that is cited from. Either is a research article or some organization like National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the CDC, and the Smart Growth America report with Dangerous by Design or other institutions. But also, as I mentioned, storytelling, and not just my story, but other people's story as well. So right now, the course is available on Teachable for individual use. It's ready on demand for anyone to take it. But if you want to bring it to your organization as part of the learning and development on your own platform, it can be customized, branded, whatever you need. So that's a possibility as well. And we're getting to the course outline. So of course it has an introduction and I talk, just like you heard me talk for the last 15 minutes about my story. It's condensed in 5 minutes or less, and there's a lot of resources presented with each module. The history of walking, I was inspired by the teachings of Peter Norton and his book Fighting Traffic. And shortly I presented a history of the term jaywalking and the current trends in going away from that term and legalizing people to move freely whenever they need to because it's more convenient and, of course, making sure they are safe. The module accident versus crash. It teaches individuals the word crash because we often hear it as an accident, but what happened to me and what happened to others, it wasn't an accident, right? Accident has this connotation that it just happened, it was an act of God. And this could have been prevented. So we know in the industry, we are using the word crash now when we talk about crash data. But ordinary individuals, motorists, drivers, and anyone, that are listening to the news or the radio, they are not using the word crash. So it's a way for us to teach, right? It's an opportunity to teach how we should talk about a crash and then how to report a crash. So this is not just for the individual driver, but also for those reporting a crash. Are we looking at how a person was dressed, or are we reporting what type of car? Are we making assumptions, which we shouldn't either way? So that's what that module is about. Pedestrian deaths, it's a tough module because the numbers are sad, specifically in the United States. But people need to know the truth. And I'm hoping seeing those numbers it will impact drivers to be more aware about pedestrians and vulnerable users in general. Cars and power, like I had that slide earlier with Spider-Man. Uh, and with great power, yeah, comes great responsibility. Um, and I talk about the vehicle weight and how that impacts, when you're hitting someone. Also, maybe the hood, we talk about the hood of the vehicle and the laws and how other countries are looking at other safety measures in place for cars. And of course, nowadays we're building we have cars that are made out of steel, so those are not safe either. So I think drivers need to be aware of the power that that vehicle they are maneuvering has. Driving behavior, I'm going to show you the video next, but it has some statistics on risky behaviors with a section dedicated to youth drivers. And I'm using a video from NHTSA that they had for youth. And one of my favorite topics is turning right. You will see it in the video. Don't want to spoil it. And distracted driving and age. And I also talk about some other courses that are out there available for people. It's not just my course that's available, but in driving behavior, I recommend some other ones as well. Roadway design, that's what got me back to school. It's because educating drivers is one piece of the puzzle, but roadway design is another piece of the puzzle. The way we build our roads, our streets, our neighborhoods, our communities, our cities, and connect them impacts how people are driving. And there is a lot of research out there. So engineering has a great effect on everyone and on the number of crashes. I have a module on that as well because drivers need to know that they may have been used just to driving in United States with this type of built environment. But there is a difference out there. Other countries don't have the numbers that the US has, or certain cities in the US have. So how is that different? And is it the lighting? Is it the width of the lane? What is it? So I talk about some of the research because there is so much out there. But I'm translating it for ordinary drivers to understand that they are not necessarily the root cause of the problem, but they could be part of preventing the problem until we fix the root of the problem. And then I am adding stories. As I said, it's not just my story. There is a great video from Family for Safer Streets with some impactful stories. And the reason I've added, I've combined research with storytelling is because I've seen with, for example, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they have a program that's called Victim Impact Panel, where they do just that. They get people that have, DUIs, DWIs in a room, and they present stories of survivors or victims. And it's like, it could be gruesome images, but you need to impact those people to not commit those acts anymore and change their behavior. And I've seen, because I volunteered with Matt for almost 10 years now. And I've seen people come out of those sessions, in tears and, they're pledging not to drink and drive ever again. Hopefully that will stand. But I wanted, a mix of storytelling with research and numbers because some people react to numbers, right? And next, I will take a break from talking and you'll hear me, you'll hear me talking in the video. And it will be the module on driving behavior. Although this section addresses motorists of all ages, special attention is given to teen drivers. If you are not a teen driver, most likely you know one among your family, friends, or neighbors. According to data from the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, risky driving behaviors by teenage drivers were more common in the presence of teenage peers, one or more teenage passengers in the vehicle. Common distractions were loud conversations and horseplay. Speeding is a critical issue for teen drivers. In 2016, it was a factor in 32% of the fatal crashes that involved passengers in vehicles with teen drivers. Teens like to carpool, and we all should do that more, but when they are speeding, they are putting the lives of the passengers of their vehicle, as well as other motorists, at risk. A study by the Governor's Highway Safety Association found that from 2000 to 2011, teens were involved in almost 20,000 speeding-related crashes. This should be a reminder for all of us not to speed, but we should teach our young drivers the same. In fact, when I have in-person meetings, I don't hold it against anyone for being late. I would prefer them being late and safe. The following PSA is addressing teen driver behavior.
See Allison at lunch today. I'm gonna text her. I'm gonna text Allison. Hey, hold up, Matt's calling me. Matt's calling me. Hey, we got the phone and we're on our way right now.
Teens observe and learn from us. As adults, we can be guilty of the same driving behaviors just as well. As motorists, we are used to looking left when we are turning right onto a street because we are about to merge that incoming traffic coming from the left. So most likely we will notice those pedestrians coming from that direction. But what about the pedestrians coming from the right, or the bicyclists coming from behind on the parallel biking lane? A study conducted by the University of Toronto looked at these situations and found that half of the motorists turning right failed to look to the right. All attentional failures were related to not making frequent over-the-shoulder checks for cyclists. There were more failures turning into major streets due to parked vehicles blocking drivers' views of the bike lane. Attentional failures were more likely for those who drove more frequently in downtown Toronto. It appeared that drivers less familiar with an area were more cautious when turning. After I learned about the study, I analyzed my driving next time I was behind the wheel. And what did I find? I was doing the same. This made me aware of the dangers of getting comfortable behind the wheel in areas I frequent most. It takes practice, but now I pay more attention when I'm driving through my own neighborhood. A distraction is anything that can take your attention away from driving. That could be sending a text, being on a call, being on a Zoom call, or even eating, drinking, putting on makeup. Any of these distractions can endanger you, your passengers, or others around you. There are three main types of distractions: visual, taking your eyes off the road; manual, taking your hands off the wheel; and cognitive, taking your mind off driving. According to the CDC, about 1 in 5 of the people who died in crashes involving a distracted driver in 2019 were not in vehicles. They were walking, riding their bikes, or otherwise outside a vehicle. With about 31% of all traffic crash fatalities in the United States involving drunk drivers, Mothers Against Drunk Driving concluded that every 79 seconds, someone is injured or killed in a crash involving an impaired driver. New technologies have been developed to detect drunk driving while behind the wheel. The HALT Act, signed into law on November 15, 2021, directs the federal government to require all new cars to come equipped with smart technology that passively detects and stops impaired driving. This measure will save more than 10,000 lives per year and prevent hundreds of thousands of injuries. It is hard to put an upper age limit on driving because everyone is different. As we age, keep in mind that our vision deteriorates.
peripheral vision, depth perception, reading road signs at night, as well as our reaction to changes in traffic. If you are someone over 50, I highly recommend taking the AARP driving safety course for a more in-depth analysis of your driving fitness.
All right, so now if you can pull your phones when your cameras on your phones, I have a question for you. And the answer doesn't have to be from the video, but which driver distractions do you encounter most often? Either as a driver and you see other drivers around you, or as a pedestrian or another vulnerable users. So please use that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and enter that number. And enter, a word or, a phrase. Yeah, phone. And the answer, as you can see, it will show up automatically, and it does that cloud word. And if you see a word that has been said, you can say it again, because we want to see, the bigger the font, the bigger the frequency. Yes, texting, kids, weather, speeding, passengers, people talking with passengers. People using voice to text and vice versa. Visual cognitive map app updates directions. Impatience, yes. That's when people ask me about the driver that hit me, we don't know if he was impaired, in terms of alcohol or drugs. We didn't go that far, but he was definitely impatient, or maybe we can call the other term aggressive driving, right? Music, ego, yes, yes. Big car syndrome, yes. Touch screens in new cars. Kids in the back seat, loud exhaust, yes. Those can be distracting as well. Tired. Great. Okay, I see a couple more coming through. Not seeing crosswalks. Yes, I see that a lot. Or they stop at the light in the middle of the crosswalk. Okay, I see a couple more coming. Poor lighting, yes, and that could be either lighting the street or lighting the pedestrian. Okay, speeding. Yes, great. These are great. Thank you so much for participating. And I would add about the lighting. In one of the modules, I talk about the importance of lighting, and not just street lighting, but also pedestrian scale lighting and reflective clothing. Does that work for the pedestrian being seen, and how does work in relation with the headlights of the car? Are they really made for reflective clothing on the side to be reflected? So I talk about that as well. So it's something that it definitely helps, in my opinion, but it's not something we can rely on. And again, I have some sources in there as well. And about sources, each module under each video will have all the sources listed as well for people to dive deeper if they want to. Great. Thank you so much for participating in this interactive poll. I'm glad to see, not I'm glad, but I'm not surprised of seeing phones being one of the big distractions. I'm actually doing some research right now about looking at drivers using the phone versus pedestrians using the phone, and how dangerous is that for both, and comparing them. So that's definitely a big topic in terms of safety. Great. Thank you, everyone. And I think I'm going to skip that module for now, or that extra video, and if we have time at the end, I'll show it. But I'll go and talk about who is this course for? As I mentioned initially, I grew up in Romania, and I did get my driver's license there. At some point, I was a professional, I had a job, and it's possible that I will get my car at some point. And I had friends who had cars, and potentially I could drive their car if I had to go somewhere, or when we go on a road trip. So I did get my driver's license in Romania, and it's nothing like it is in the United States. And most likely you've heard of other countries. They are a lot more rigorous. There was no telephone, it wasn't my dad teaching me that learned from his dad or someone else. I had to go to a licensed instructor. Of course, like here, you had to do a certain number of hours with the instructor in the car. But all the hours were with the instructor in the car. And then the exam, it wasn't with the lady at the clerk at DMV. It was with the chief of police. And I'm sure I was shaking that day, and I had to do this parallel parking in a busy city, and it was winter, so nothing compared to when I got my driver's license in the United States. So it was a serious thing, and it wasn't cheap either. So not everyone can be on the streets. So I have a lot to say about getting the driver's license and comparing it in the United States with other countries, but I think the common thing in all these countries is that there is no follow-up. Once you get your driver's license, there is no more refresher course. No one will, say after 10 years you should, at least take a class, not take an exam, but take a class. That's not happening. And most likely, all of us, I'm sure, we're like, well, I think I'm a good driver. I don't need to, like I mentioned in the video, I thought I was a good driver, and then I realized I was not looking to the right either. So we all think we are the best, but you never know what you don't know. So this training is pretty much for anyone who hasn't taken a refresher course. And again, that's most of us. Professional motorists, right, for ride share. I would be more comfortable to see a ride share driver have on their profile, that they've taken some safety or refresher course. Teen and new drivers, teens are not adults, their brains are still evolving at that age of 16. I know some states are issuing their driver's license like at 18, but their brains are not fully developed, and they might not perceive the gravity of driving a car and potentially hitting someone with that machine. So they need to be influenced from the get-go. And then of course, those have been recently ticketed for a driving offense, like drunk driving, drunk or drug driving, and other offenses, speeding and so forth. Because this way we can prevent that from happening. and we have those people, we have them on a list, right? We have them ready. And of course, another category, like I was mentioning, neither of us will, as an individual, want to take a refresher course out of our own will. So if you think you know everything, if you think you know everything about the road, there's a lot that you can learn. So the question is, how do we reach out to the people that need to be reached? And one way is to get through the learning and development departments at employers. Could be your employer as well. I'm sure you have mandatory trainings you have to take, either yearly or when you start your job. So that's one way to reach out people. Because obviously liability, right? Insurance and liability, fleet operators, you're putting the business at risk. And there's a lot of hit and run crashes. So we don't know who those people are. We're never going to reach out to them even for, a ticket. We don't know who those people are. Could be people next to us, could be our next door neighbor, could be our colleague. And we need to reach out to those people somehow. So this course or any other course that could be mandated through the employer could be that answer. What are participants saying? I really love this one I think she was like 14. I ended up talking to a high school, but they brought their juniors in the big gym also, and she was so excited. She's like, I can't wait to start driving and get my driver's license and be a model driver, and I'm gonna tell my mom she's been doing it, she's been driving wrong, and she's been distracted. So I was really excited to see that excitement from that little girl, that she wanted to make sure she is a safe driver. So they're just some testimonials. And if you want to take the course, here's a code for you to use it, and you have a discount there as well. Of course, reach out to me directly if you need more, or if you want to talk about taking it to your organization and so forth. I only presented one video. It's about 5 minutes long. Ben, do you think we have time to show it? Or do we have a lot of Q&A waiting?
No, go ahead. Yeah, we've
Okay.
got 3 questions so far, so we've got time.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back. Accident versus crash.
Notice that throughout this course, I refer to collisions as crashes rather than accidents. An accident is an unforeseen and unplanned event or circumstance, and it should not be used as a generic term for when the cause has not been determined or it is evident that the incident could have been prevented. You can use the term accident when there is a calamity, such as icy roads, fallen trees, mudslides, or when a judge has deemed the collision as an accident. Professionals across industries have been making the shift of using the word crash in their reporting.
Oops.
Due in part to the fact that 93% of all crashes have been attributed to human error, which means they could have been prevented. The motorists did not do everything that was in their power to prevent the crash. By saying someone's loss of life or injury was an accident, you are dismissing the wounds or the grief suffered by that person or their loved ones. What words should we use? Crash, a violent collision typically of one vehicle with another or with an obstacle. A sudden loud noise or something breaking or hitting another object. Collision, an act or instance of colliding, an encounter between two particles resulting in exchange or transformation of energy. incident, an occurrence of an action or situation. While more entities are made aware of the misuse of the word accident, we should make that change in our own vocabulary and refer to car accidents as car crashes. How should we or the news report pedestrian crashes? Use an active voice and assign agency. A car struck a pedestrian should be used when there was an autonomous vehicle, not when a person was behind the wheel and responsible for the automobile's actions. Pedestrians do not come out of nowhere. They were using the built environment that was given to them and using the infrastructure as best as possible for them. Instead of highlighting what the pedestrian was wearing or not wearing, describe the automobile: hood height, blunt front ends, dark tints, bald tires, obstructed windows and mirrors, headlights, and taillights. Describe the street's design: how wide and how many lanes. Is there street lighting and were they functioning for both automobiles and pedestrians? No buffer for sidewalk or bike lanes, no sidewalk or shoulder on both sides, blocked sidewalk by vegetation, trash cans, and other obstacles, snow-packed sidewalks because of street plowing, narrow sidewalk not permitting a wheelchair or stroller to travel safely. Do not publish speculations about pedestrians' use of a crosswalk. The streets are built with a vehicle in mind, not pedestrians.
So as you can see, that video is addressing both regular individuals driving a vehicle, but also those that are reporting those crashes. I've seen a shift in reporting crashes towards what I've just talked about, and I have in the course the source that where I took those recommendations from another activist and advocate in the vulnerable users arena. So I've seen a shift, so that's good. But I think we all need to do better and retrain our brain and retrain how we talk about things and how we write about these things to be respectful and not jump to conclusions. And that's about it that I had for you today. And I think we have about 10 minutes. And here's my contact information if you need to reach me. You can go on my website and I have a contact form, or you can just email me directly at anna@madetowalk.com.
All right, we do have a few questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
The first one is, are there any proven strategies to help shift a municipality's language to use to better promote ped bike safety? For example, shifting from using the term accidents to the term crash.
I mean, it depends from municipality to municipality. I've seen a shift, but sometimes it takes a village. So it's up to the advocates, unfortunately, to start educating those professionals in cities, or who are writing articles and police reports to go that direction. I don't know if there's education at other levels in terms of that. But I think advocates unfortunately have a lot of work to do, and we'll fall on them to pursue these things. I've seen, like, in some conferences, I've seen talk about it. So I think the word is getting out there in the professional world, but they need to be reminded, and that will bring change.
All right, next question. Can you talk a bit about the experiences or the learning that you have seen from drivers who take this course? How does their view of the built environment and pedestrians change after the class?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't followed up with them, if they've been in a crash afterwards or not. I've heard from the testimonials that they left, that they learned something new. They had no idea about the built environment, about the vehicles, of how their headlights are positioned. And they're not helping seeing more to the right where the sidewalk is, but they're focused towards the road. So I've heard from testimonials that they learn a lot of new things. I don't know how it changed their behavior. I haven't followed up, a year later to see if anything changed for them.
All
But it
right.
would be an interesting research for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we did have a couple of questions about that. So the final question is, do you offer special pricing for government agencies if they want to have, say, 40 people take the course?
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yes, and it could be, I'm talking with a state right now to create a custom video for their laws, for the specific state laws to add to that training. And a couple of the organizations that presented this training, they took it on their own platform, so I don't have access to how many people took it and all that. But that can be done as well.
Great. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, everybody, for attending. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
And don't forget to check out our website. We do a webinar about once a month. Sometimes we do a couple. So follow us on LinkedIn, check our website, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.